Last week, Canada labeled the Proud Boys as terrorists. Will Antifa be next? And what about Black Lives Matter? This is the Great White North Report. Okay, so February 9th, the Canadian Parliament decided to label the Proud Boys as well as some other neo-Nazi groups as terrorists. This comes after media reports linked the Proud Boys members to those who stormed the U.S. Capitol last month. Now, when the media reports something, it's not necessarily true. But I will go on record as saying I do not doubt that there were some Proud Boys present during the storming of the Capitol. So let's get that out of the way. So we designated 13 groups as terrorist entities, adding some white nationalist and neo-Nazi groups to a list already populated with militant Islamic groups. And I have nothing wrong with that. If there's a white nationalist or neo-Nazi groups, they should be on that list. But they're going to classify the Proud Boys as such, along with the Adam Waffen Division, a group that calls for acts of violence against racial, religious, and ethnic groups, and the Base, another neo-Nazi organization that advocates for violence to incite a race war, as terrorists, entities under the criminal code. Now, those two I would. Not so much the Proud Boys, but definitely Adam Waffen and the Base definitely belong in that category. Has another one called the Russian Imperial Movement. So I have no doubt about those ones. Proud Boys is a little bit harder to ascertain because I've yet to see any real violence from them, though I wouldn't be surprised if they have. Again, I'm going on record saying I've never seen it, but I would not be surprised. So what happens now? Banks can now freeze assets, and police can charge anyone who financially or materially supports such a group. So that means if I go out and buy a Proud Boy t-shirt, not that I'm going to, but just as an example, let's be clear on that, then I can be charged. So it's an offense to collect property, provide or invite a person to provide or make available property or financial or other related services to a terrorist entity. Interesting. So I can go to certain flea markets and go look at flags, and I can actually buy a Nazi flag from a vendor who's not white in Toronto or in Ottawa or in London. I know because I collect flags, and I've gone to these places, these flea markets. And I've seen the flag collections, and you can get the Nazi flag. So that's interesting. So if you buy the Proud Boys paraphernalia, and the paying membership dues could result in jail term of up to 10 years. Well, I'm not about to do that, so don't worry. I don't feel like going to jail this time, and I don't feel like paying any fines. Now, it's best to remember that the Proud Boys started out as a joke. Gavin McGuinness, a Canadian, is also a stand-up comedian. He is more of a political conservative, and he is the co-founder of Vice Media. Now, they say they have a history of street violence, including against Black Lives Matter demonstrators and Indigenous protesters. Again, that wouldn't surprise me, especially the way Black Lives Matter behaved themselves over the past summer. Not surprised that the Proud Boys are in a terrorist group, as they've been under watch for a while. So this Commons motion was pushed by NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. Was also not a motivating. Now they're trying to claim there's no political motivation whatsoever, but Singh called the terrorist designation the right thing to do, urged the government to go even further and move to dismantle all white supremacist and extreme far-right groups that pose a threat to Canada's security. We need to build a country where everyone feels like they belong. These hateful groups have no place in our country. And you can see a picture of Gavin down there. So if you go on the public safety website, you can see which entities are listed as terrorist groups. A lot of them are Islamic, and yet we're letting these people in more and more every year. The Proud Boys are there. That's good to know. The Base is there. But what I didn't see Antifa. So that begs the question, what will happen next? Will Antifa be next? Now, Antifa is far more violent than the Proud Boys. And Antifa has run riot in places like Portland. Ask Andy No. He's currently hiding in the UK because there's Antifa in the United States is after him after he wrote his book. Now, Antifa guys are after, they tear down a statue of Sir John A. Macdonald in downtown Montreal last summer. That's Antifa right there. That's not a peaceful protest when people start doing that. That's vandalism against the country. Sir John A. might not have been the perfect guy, but he had a great vision, much more than these guys do. And he was a builder, not a tearer down. The fact these Antifa is going after our cultural heritage, imperfect as it is, they should be locked up for 10 years and see how they... And put them in with the Proud Boys. Like how this article says that the number of anonymous protesters climbed under the statue in Montreal's place after a peaceful protest was wrapped up. That wasn't too peaceful when they did that. Where were the police? Antifa gets away with a lot of stuff in both the United States and Canada, and it's time to stop. Antifa is the most part made up of white people anyway, so they should be. Antifa is composed of an assortment of radical ideologues on the left of the political spectrum, but not limited to anarchists, Marxists, Maoists, and others. Even found sympathizers among liberals, democratic socialists, and members of mainstream discourse, so media. Of course, the liberals. Trudeau has basically done what Obama has done. He's taken all the disenfranchised little groups and put them into the Liberal Party. It's a dangerous game, but that's what won him the election, I think, by bringing in all these dissatisfied groups, disenfranchised groups that don't have much say in Canadian politics. That's a lot of his base. First of all, we don't have any real fascists in this country. Antifa is one of those things that there's no real no great organization about them, other than they are bound by perceived institutional racism, patriarchy, colonialism, exploitation, and other issues alleged to plague the nation. If you don't like it, move. Leave. Go somewhere else. Be a failure somewhere else. So I went and looked up their webpage on Facebook. They don't have a lot of followers. They don't have a lot of likes. But they're part of the Anarchist and the Communist Party of Canada and other anti-racist action groups. So Antifa should be branded as a terrorist organization in Canada. I fully believe that. If the Proud Boys are going to be, why not go after the far leftists too? But you got to remember, Canada labeled the Proud Boys just because they were linked to those who stormed the U.S. Capitol. Like I said, there were probably some Proud Boys there, but there was also a guy named John Sullivan who happens to be a Black Lives Matter activist. He was charged for participation in the storming of the Capitol. In fact, his own brother turned him in after getting, like he said, something like 600 messages asking, is this John Sullivan? Is this his brother? And he turned him in to the FBI. I would too. After the ride, he was there. He said he was just there to document. And he told Fox News and CNN he regularly attends and takes videos at protests. Yeah, right. He's being charged in Utah for promoting violence. And he was heard to say, let's burn this shit down. So should we include Black Lives Matter in that list? If they become violent, sure. You should definitely see Antifa on that list. Antifa will do more damage to Canadian values. But this is where the Trudeau and the Liberals' progressive nature protects them. But Antifa should definitely be on that list. Anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think. Should Antifa be on this list with the Proud Boys? And should we also condone Black Lives Matter for what they do? They caused a lot of problems in the States, and they cause problems in Canada. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and or the Rumble button. I'm going to put this on Rumble too. And until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.